don't know why. Good evening. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Recreation and Parks and Cultural Affairs Committee, April 9th at 7 p.m. I'm going to call to order. We have council members, Mr. Sutton, Ms. Dunn, Mr. Lopez, Ms. Edie, and myself, and we have a quorum. And number 3, acceptance of the minutes of the regular meeting for March 12th. Would someone like to move that? Thank you, Ms. Dunn. Were there any changes to the meeting minutes? Does anyone have any changes, corrections? So all in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Old business, there is none. New business, 5A, authorize the,
I'm sorry, darling. I think we missed public participation.
oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
I don't think it's
on here.
included.
It's not on here, you're right. So we're going to squeeze that in right now with public participation. Is Mr. Lean, is there anyone?
Yeah, Ms. Larcello, you're unmuted.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Delene, for pointing that out. I was on hold for 5 minutes getting into the show, into the meeting. So thank you very much. Good evening. Recreation, Parks, and Cultural Committee. My name is Diane Lauricella, 21 Little Fox Lane. Tonight, on your agenda, at least it was on the agenda I looked at, towards the end of it is a discussion about the Broad River Complex and what Mr. Stowers calls synthetic turf fields, really known more in the scientific as artificial turf fields. Some even still call it astroturf, which is a long bygone days. No, not many people are calling it that. The reason I wanted to have a chance to discuss this is the turn of events that caused me to get more active about why I feel we need to have a comprehensive study. I sent emails to many of you if you're on ECD, but also this late afternoon. I hope after this meeting you take a look at some of the emails that show some of the history where I have attempted and failed to get the attention of this committee, ordinance committee, the mayor, Mr. Mokay, who is Mr. Stowers' predecessor, Mr. Roberts, who is Mr. Stowers' predecessor, and Mr. Stowers himself. I took time when Mr. Stowers was first employed to welcome him to Norwalk. I was very impressed with what I read about him. And I told him about the history of what's been going on with at the time, I think we had 6 turf fields. Long story short is that he promised me that there would be a comprehensive study that not only looked at health issues, which are a thing, they're reality, look at the sports injuries that are well documented at this point. A lot more has changed from 10, 15 years ago when even the public health department did a poorly rendered study. They need to update their study. There have been emerging problems with PFAS coming off of the surface due to the processing of artificial turf, the different components. I know that crumb rubber is no longer used, but the thing is, what is to say that the substitutes are any more or less problematic as things go on? That is why I have asked for and ask for you today that unless and until a comprehensive neutral party is hired that is qualified, that in writing you state to the staff, Miss Vanessa and Mr. Robert, that you will not be utilizing this. In fact, a moratorium on artificial turf fields would be in the offing. The memo I saw from Stantec, number one, I believe it is not neutral party because they do a lot of business in town. Number two, while I love landscape architects, not qualified to summarize the health effects, the environmental effects, the sports injury effects, and what he wrote was not complete because he didn't take into account the removal and disposal of artificial turf. There is no need for artificial turf if we, the people and the council and the mayor, invest the money in having better design, better maintenance, and more people to maintain it for the infield. I am sorry, but it just isn't so. What I've been hearing from Mr. Stowers and the Stantec architect are not so. I last asked that we have a summit. Why don't we just have a good 2 or 3 hours where we invite in experts on both sides of the aisle to discuss in front of the public and you all to determine whether or not we should go forward with this particular Broad River complex. I've been told that I should just trust the council, that of course they will not allow it. I'm sorry, I have experience in my 40 years in Norwalk. At the last minute, the staff says, oh, we've already started studying it. We don't want to waste the money. We've gone forward. We've issued the RFP. I'm sorry, we have to stop this in its tracks right now. There are microplastics. There is other chemicals other than PFAS that because of the fact that it is because of climate change, it's warmer than it's been for 10 years ago. So that means there's more of this material off-gassing into the noses of children. I sent you also a wonderful EHHI flyer that I hope you'll take a look at. It's a little bit dated, but not most of it, except for the crumb rubber.
I'm sorry,
And it
Ms.
shows.
Larcella, you're past 3.5 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just wrap up by saying, please, I know you all and I want to help make the complex happen, but just not with artificial turf upriver from the first taxing district, which already has PFAS contamination in addition to our Norwalk River. Thank you.
Who's next?
Mr. Bonifant, you are unmuted.
Oh, you okay? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Rich Bonifant, Park Hill Avenue, 7.
Richard, okay.
I
Okay,
think,
sorry.
oh, there he is.
I'm glad you straightened out that public participation thing because I'm getting a little nervous that we couldn't speak. But under new business, 5G, about a new festival in June at Veterans Park. To me, the numbers don't add up as presented. The agenda says 250 people in total, but the backup material states that there's going to be 250 people every day for 7 days in a row. I don't believe there's a carnival company that would set up knowing there's only 250 people coming to attend. All right. So I don't know who's trying to slip by here. East Norwalk is under assault from the city. You're jamming it with high density housing, choking it with traffic. And now you want to make the residents listen to loud music and speeches for 3 or 7 days in June. So I'm just asking you to give them a break and think twice before you approve this one. Thank you.
Ms. Cece, you're unmuted.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, thank you. Good evening, everyone. First of all, a ditto to what Ms. Floricella and Mr. Bonifant just shared with you as well. And then just procedurally too, I did hear from a couple of people who were under the impression there was no public comment tonight because they looked at the agenda and didn't see it. And I wasn't sure if you were taking comment as you addressed each item or not, but I hope the folks are on because I told them to hop on in either case, that you'd either have comment at the beginning, the end, or following each item presentation. Anyway, I am here to speak on 2 items, and they're interrelated. One has to do with the new rate and fees for the parks, and I'll get back to that in a second if I don't run out of your time here. The item that I really want to speak about is the item G on your agenda, the one that Mr. Bonifant just mentioned, the Black Heritage Parade fundraiser carnival to be held in Veterans Memorial Park in June. And what I want to suggest to the committee tonight is, not necessarily that you not, consider approving this, but I think right now we're asking, and I'm speaking on behalf of East Norwalk Neighborhood Association tonight as well. We're asking that you table this item tonight, in the interest of gathering some more information and answering a bunch of questions that I suspect your own council members have, and that perhaps staff can answer, and that the community would have. And I have some of those questions tonight, and then maybe take this up at your May meeting. But I suspect that may be too late for someone to organize something. So we may need to hit the pause button on this. It sounds like it might be a good event. I understand it's for some sort of a nonprofit fundraiser, and maybe it needs to be held later in the year, or do a little bit more due diligence and come back for next year. So the reason why I'm asking for this thing to be tabled is it really is, the information that's here is lacking and confusing. And it seems to be that Veterans Memorial Park is getting a lot of use, which can be great disruption to the neighborhood. And more and more of the weekends where people are looking for, solitude in their own homes are being taken up now with events that draw large crowds of people, create noise and disturbance to the community. And this is one that's coming off of, with the dates that they have here for setup in the event itself. This is coming right on the heels of another major event, the Pride in the Park event, which used to be held, I believe, in Matthews Park, and then subsequently moved to Veterans Memorial Park. So there's really no relief in terms of in these 2 weekends or weeks in June for the community. I also have the same question about the number of attendees that they're suggesting, at 250 people per day. First of all, they're listing, and it may be a matter of your computer software, but they're listing 250 people a day for all of those days, and not just as part of setup. And to Mr. Bonifant's point, I don't see how anyone could have a business model that would suggest just 250 people a day, and how they would expect to limit that. The way that this item reads, it also says for use of Veterans Park and the surrounding grounds. And so I'm left to interpret that as the entire park. And if that's the case, are they intending to just take a portion of the park and fence it off and control admission to their event in that manner, like with a gated entrance? We don't see anything here about the admission fees that they're charging. There's nothing here related to a nonprofit that would suggest that this is what the use is for. And a number of other points that I have here. This seems to me that this is the first event of this kind by this organization, and I find 3 names here: the Sono Entertainment, another corporation is listed as Sonotainment, Chosen Few LLC, and then a related nonprofit called Dolo, which has no existence on the like a website or anything that we can refer to get information on the nonprofit.
I'm sorry, Ms. Cece, we're approaching 4 minutes.
So basically what we're looking for is to get some relief for the community by having, these large events be reconsidered for the location and the extent of time and the number of people. I would suggest, given that this seems to be the inaugural event, that perhaps this organization can consider another smaller venue to do their first run, and then see how that goes. And it can be, maybe something at Oyster Park or Matthews Park, and for 1 or 2 days. But at this point, on behalf of the residents who live in that area, who are subjected to this type of activity on many of their summer and fall and spring weekends, we'd like to see this item get tabled and get some more information. I'm happy to, if you do table this item, I'm happy to send in a list of specific questions to staff and to the committee that hopefully you can answer. But we at this point, we think this is I'm not quite ready for prime time at this point. Thank you.
Roberta, you're unmuted.
Hi, thank you. Roberta DiBasegli and Charles DiBasegli, Osborne Avenue, off of Seaview Avenue, a stone's throw away from Veterans Memorial Park. I do want to say briefly also that I do agree with Diane Loricella's comments about the artificial turf, and I have written a letter to that that point as well. I also agree with what Rich Bonifant and Diane Cece said about this potential event at Veterans Memorial Park. You know, the Oyster Festival, I get it. I even get Pride. But this is a residential neighborhood. There has got to be some consideration for people who live in the vicinity of Veterans Memorial Park. The park is used for, quiet enjoyment. It should be, in my opinion, more often than anything else. And the sports that go on there, hey, that's great. There's a playground there. Hey, that's great. There's, hopefully going to be a boardwalk or some sort of ecological restoration being done there at some point. Let's stop it with the amplified noise. I mean, I find my time at home to be precious. My quiet enjoyment of my home is really important to me. And every time there's an event there, it's disruptive in a huge way. It's really a very difficult situation. And I implore you to really limit the amount of big events that happen in that park. This is not a commercial neighborhood. There are many, many people who live here and who really would appreciate some peace in their homes, and every time there's an event, there's not. And let's talk about spillover parking. This is a densely populated neighborhood. We have real problems with street parking as it is. Every time there's an event there, there's an issue with street parking. It makes it even worse. We had people like wander up into our front porch the last time there was an event there, and they hung out. We weren't home. We saw it on our cameras, but it's really, I really, really hope that you will consider limiting the events there, and at the very least, publishing a schedule of events that happen there that's accessible to people in the neighborhood. Thank you for considering my request.
Mr. Kovalakis, you're unmuted.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Very good. Thank you for taking my call. I am right across from Veterans Park, from the parking lot. And issue G, which is the event, I agree with Ms. Cece. It should be tabled. There's a few questions. I have no doubt that the event is for a good cause and everything. My issue in general with the park is amplified noise. Amplified noise and what leads to amplified noise. And what I mean by that is that the park, for example, I'll give you one very subtle example. There's a porta potty, it's right in front of my house, that's been placed there. By who, I don't know. For what purpose, I don't know. Who pays for it, I don't know. There are no events, temporary events, but it's there. What does this do? People park, they drink, and they relieve themselves constantly. We're paying for this. Somebody's paying for this. Who? This potty was placed there in October after the soccer events, because there were some soccer events. So I said, it's for the soccer, families, whatever. They already have restrooms, but it was placed there. It stayed from October to February. I called the porta potty company. I called everybody. Whose is it? Who's paying for this? Oh, it was part of COVID. I go, COVID is gone. Long story short, it attracts, it's a magnet for noise. These people get rowdy at times. I'll give you an example. I was walking yesterday. Not yesterday, there was a beautiful day. there was a lot of activity because it's a beautiful pre-spring day. And I looked at it and I'm like, oh my God, this is great. People are out, they're enjoying themselves. You know what it was? There was no amplified music. I did my walk. I went back to my home as if there's nobody there, and yet there were people enjoying themselves. This is great. I love it. I embrace it. Amplified noise, I call the police at times. Well, Mr. So-and-so, do you know what the ordinance is? I go, yes, I do. I said, I didn't want to be a smartass, but the noise ordinance says that amplified music from a vehicle, if it's plainly audible, is violating the ordinance. I call the police, they eventually come, so I don't think it's an issue with that. Things can get out of hand. So while we're complaining about events, I actually suffer daily, well, I shouldn't say, well, daily at times, and definitely on the weekend, and definitely over summer. Some of this is just neglect. 2 years ago, I did call the Parks and Recs asking for Mr. Hughes and Mr. Stowers. I have it on my phone, the voice recordings. We'll call you back. Never received a call. No problem. I visited City Hall. Can I see them? They're out in the field. No problem. Amplified music is a problem. Amplified noise is a problem. The Pride event, again, I have no issue with events. Everyday events, scheduled events, no issue. The moment there's amplified music, and the Pride event was the loudest I have ever heard, way louder than the Oyster Fest. Considering the Oyster Fest, all the money that they get, all of the generation, they could not, out of their kindness of their heart, if you ever have to walk around the park, and I invite you guys to walk around the park, the things that come off from the harbor, the cracked asphalt, it's really a disrespect for for this whole thing. And I feel embarrassed for the city.
I'm sorry,
Years
Mr.
of
Kovalakis, you're
money.
over your 3 minutes.
Okay. Amplified noise is an issue. Events are not. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much. And you should table, like Ms. Cece said, that until there are more questions, although I have no doubt that it's good intentions and it's a good event. I have no doubt of that. I've seen events like that go off very nice. Thank you very much.
Chris, you are unmuted.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes. So, yeah, I'm just calling in to discuss the turf field at Broad River. I'm basically heavily involved in the youth baseball and actually flag football in Norwalk. Not having a turf field at the baseball fields is a detriment to Norwalk, to the kids, to everyone that plays the sport. When it rains, it is almost you cannot play a game on the field. You actually have to wait a day. Some of the fields you have to wait 2. We've been waiting for new fields for years now, especially at Broad River. And I believe the ask is only to have turf fields on the infield. So we're not even looking to turf the whole field like Nathan Hale, just the infields. If you do not turf the infields, you cannot play on these fields in bad weather. Additionally, the fields are taken advantage of by other people. And there's just holes in the field. There's the bases aren't aligned because of the turf, the dirt fields. They're just unplayable at times. The city crew, Eric Montgomery and team, have done a great job this year in getting them into shape, but they just can't maintain them with the resources. And even if they had the resources, again, they cannot stop Mother Nature. If you look around the surrounding towns, New Canaan has turf fields for the youth baseball, not just the high schools. I was in Greenwich the other day. They have turf fields for all different sports. They have 7 fields turf at the high school. I mean, this is just something that needs for the youth sports. We need a destination place where we can have tournaments, stuff that people want to come play at. Broad River is an ideal place for that. And I think not turfing at least the infields is just not a right thing to do for Norwalk going forward through the future. I know we have 450 kids in the league now and building, which is a good thing. And let's not stop that momentum. Additionally, I would just ask for these type of meetings, the agenda doesn't come out until 24 hours before the meeting. So we don't have the time to alert everybody that's basically put their time in, effort, volunteer time, to actually have a voice in this meeting. So I guess going forward, please let the agenda out a lot sooner than 24 hours, at least a week ahead of time, so we can have the people that want to have a voice to have a voice. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much for listening.
Mr. Harris, you're unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, my name's Richard Harris. I am a marine scientist. I work for a nonprofit called East Norwalk Blue. And my background quickly, I founded Harbor Watch back in 1987. I ran that operation for 21 years, and I presently work with East Norwalk Blue on policing the oyster beds and watching out for marine waters. My concern about this field came about when Louise Washer, who is now my partner in this, called me from the Norwalk and said, "You better take a look at the ground around that site." Is two kinds we worry about: perfluorooctanic acid and perfluorooctanic sulfonate. Now that you've heard about these two products and others, there's something like 16,000 products nationwide now that have this in as a compound. The two that I'm referring to, PFOA and PFOS, are highly toxic. There is no safe level. The drinking water level just put out by EPA is 4 parts per trillion. That's what we're aiming to get at for those two. Just so you know, both products are highly represented in the ground right now in that area. And I'll give you a brief rundown how it works. There's a large pipe that bisects the field, goes under Silvermine Avenue. 700 feet later on, it dumps into a byway of the Norwalk River. 700 feet north of that are the Kellogg Deering well fields. Those well fields have had problems in years gone by trying to meet the old standards of 16 for PFOA and 10 for PFOS. They've had to shut wells down. They will have their difficulties in trying to get to 4 parts per trillion. And the EPA says the ideal goal for those two is 0. So just give you a quick run. PFOA it ranges from 5 to 9 parts per trillion. PFOS ranges from 4 to 43 parts per trillion. So these are forever chemicals. They don't go away. They're there in the water and will be there for some time to come. And if you put a field down, I've done a lot of work on these fields. I'm told that there's now a field that has no PFAS in it. That's completely wrong. PFAS is needed to lubricate machinery to make blades of grass. So that anybody who tells you that it is free of that, they're wrong. There are 7 products that run off those fields in rain. We were in touch with Dr. Graham Peasley, who is a PhD in physics at Notre Dame. He's a nationwide expert on these fields, and he's the one that gave me those numbers. And guess what? 4 of those products are in the areas we measured around that area. So here's my conclusion. Number 1, there's a fire department on the south side of the property. They probably used PFAS foam at some part for training in some part of their history. That has polluted the area. There is a Kellogg Deering well field, 700 feet to the north. You're looking at that and their problems that they've had with PFAS. You're looking at a pollution to the river. And it's senseless in my mind to add another source of PFAS on top of what exists and will be there in runoff and in rainfall. And I'm willing to talk to anybody. I've written a full report on this thing. That's my comment. It's a mistake, and I like the one either an all grass field or grass outfield with a dirt mud infield. I talked to Lisa Shanahan, who's head of the environmental committee, and that is the way she asked me to vote. All grass or a grass outfield and a dirt infield. Thank you very much.
We have no one else to speak, but I did receive three emails in support of the turf fields from John Cross, Tyler Fairbairn, and Christopher Shimko. I will attach those to the meeting minutes. You're muted, Darlene.
All right, thank you. Mr. Harris just spoke, correct? Right.
Yeah.
Okay, we will close public participation and include those letters that Ms. Deline referred to.
I think Louise Washer
Oh, I'm
has her.
sorry, she just raised her hand. Yeah, one
Oh,
second.
okay. Can you see her?
Ms. Washer, you're unmuted.
Oh, thank you so much. Sorry, I'll try to keep it quick. I'm here on the part of, speaking on the part of the Norwalk River Watershed Association, also about the proposed possible turf field at Broad River. I am also, our organization's also worried about the PFAS contamination. There is ample evidence that we can share with you now about claims made by marketers that the turf fields don't have PFAS. I think everybody is familiar with PFAS, the forever chemicals that cause cancer and a host of other human health problems. They're harmful to the environment. They stay around forever. But at that proposed site, as Dick said, it's 200 feet from the Norwalk River and from the Deering Kellogg well fields. That's our drinking water in Norwalk for the first taxing district. And we know that we have to really get those levels down in that area. What I really wanted to point out tonight is that there are academic studies and real world examples that show that the water around turf fields quickly does become contaminated. There's an example of a situation very much like the one that we would be potentially facing that occurred in the town of Easton, Massachusetts, where the fields were installed near a drinking water source, and that town is currently paying $9 million in remediation costs to address PFAS found in the drinking water since those fields went in. Kyla Bennett is a town resident and an expert on this issue. She's available to come and speak if you guys wanted to talk about the experience that they had there. Portsmouth, New Hampshire, a group of concerned citizens cut off a section of the new field, of the field turf brand field that was being installed in their town, and they had it tested for PFAS because it had been advertised as PFAS free, and the test showed a substantial presence of the chemicals. The community then found 40 parts per trillion of 6 different PFAS chemicals in a stream that's down gradient from their high school field. So similar tests have been done in Woodbridge, Connecticut, Franklin, Massachusetts, Martha's Vineyard, and here, our organization, we tested down like the retention pond that's below the Wilton football fields, and they also had kind of extremely, compared to the surrounding waters, high levels of PFAS, I think 12 parts per trillion. So there is this Professor Graham Peasley at University of Notre Dame, who's conducted studies on dozens of different new and used turfgrass samples for total fluorines. So I can send over all of this data from him, but he's found the presence of PFAS chemicals in all of the tests that he's done. So the industry claims that PFAS chemicals are not intentional. Well, they're not intentionally added, and they claim that they're not a contaminant. But there are interviews, and you can look at their fact sheets from 3M that show the presence that the PFAS chemicals are used as a slip agent added intentionally to improve the uniformity of the extruded blades of grass. And also just in all the layers, the machinery is lubricated with PFAS. So the result is that there is this presence when you put in this large amounts of, these plastics. So so I think it is a legitimate question we have to ask about the PFAS presence. And I don't think that we should just take the word of the industry on this. I think we have to do more testing. The 3M safety data sheet lists the ingredients for the fields. One of them is this PVDF, dash HFP. This is a PFAS chemical. So it's not impossible to figure this out. I do think we would need to do more research on it. Just looking at that safety data sheet, though, it also has carbonyl fluoride, formaldehyde, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, hydrogen fluoride, toxic vapors, gases, and particulate matter. Those are just listed by the manufacturer. So certainly Norwalk needs to ask for updated safety sheet from the manufacturer directly. And our health department should be part of considering the impacts of those chemicals on kids using the fields, and particularly to introducing them to the environment so close to drinking water wells. I would also just want to point out the microplastics problem. These fields are there for 8 to 10 years. I think most of them are only guaranteed for 8 years. The microplastics in there can be inhaled by players. They also wash into the rivers, so that's also added potentially to our drinking water. And studies have shown that one field sheds 480 pounds of microplastics a year. So aside from the heat and the off-gassing methane and CO2, the exacerbating of urban heat island effect. I could go on forever.
I'm
But
sorry, Ms. Washer, you're
sorry,
over
I'll
4
stop.
minutes.
Okay, I just wanted to point out, I'm particularly worried about the closeness of the drinking water and the PFAS issue and the microplastics. And thank you for the chance to speak tonight. And I'm also happy to forward some of the studies and data that I mentioned. So I'll send them to you, Robert.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you.
Do we see anyone else, Mr. Lean?
No, I do not.
Okay. All right. So at this time, we will close public participation. We're going to move on to new business 5A. And first, let me take a moment to say I want to move the agenda a little bit out of order and move item B to the end. And that's just because it's going to be a presentation and I'd like to get these folks out of the way. Okay. Is everybody okay with that? Yeah. Okay, so 5A, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into a contract with Sport Tech Construction Corp. For the amount not to exceed $112,920 for project number 4430 Calf Pasture basketball court renovations from account number noted. Mr. Stowers, is A a part of that, right? No, A1 is a part.
It is.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it
A1,
is.
we're just gonna move that together.
Yeah.
Authorize the direct, I'm sorry?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. Authorize the Director of Recreation and Parks to issue change orders to Sport Tech Construction Corp. in the amount not to exceed $24,000 for project number 4430 Calf Pasture basketball court renovations from account number noted. Would someone move that item, please? Thank you, Mr. Sutton.
So, Madam Chair, good evening. The Parks Department is looking to renovate the existing basketball court down at Calf Pasture Beach. Those of you who are aware of that court know its condition is failing rapidly. There are a lot of cracks, uneven surface. So we're looking to put a post-tension concrete basketball court in the same area where the existing court is. This is the same type of court we recently did at Fitch School, which has been a hit. It's a 20-year guarantee against cracking, and it's going to be the perfect fit for a new court down at Calf Pasture. The courts down there get a lot of use. So this is a project that we're looking to schedule. It's going to be in the fall after the beach season, but we do want to get the contract in order. We did go out to bid for the project. Numbers came in lower than we expected, which is always a good thing. So you'll see that in front of you. And we have worked with Sport Tech before on several other projects. They're a very good company, and they do well for the city.
Also, the court at Calf Pasture is really not safe to play on. It's uneven, a lot of cracks in it. We waited a full year. Last year was the year we wanted to actually do it, but because of budget constraints, So we really want to get it done this year.
Any questions from committee members? Ms. Dunn?
It says it's a change order. Is that an increase in the cost or?
No, so what it is, whenever we approve a project, we always approve 20% for change orders, just in case there's any unknowns throughout the course of the project. We don't have to come back to the board for approval.
So that was part of the original ask?
No, it's not automatically part of the contract. That's for us to use if it's needed throughout the course of the project. So for example, if we remove the old court and we run into an old drain line that we need to address, that would fall under a change order. So it's items that we can't foresee when you're working with underground construction.
So that's not built into the original budget.
Correct. So the original contract is 112,920.
Right.
So it
throughout-
has to increase the budget.
Throughout the management of the contract, we have the authority, if you guys approve this, for 24,000 and any change orders that may come across us as part of this contract.
And we do have the funds because as Ken stated from the beginning, the cost came in low. So we do have the flexibility to do this.
Any other questions? Does that answer your question, Ms. Dunn?
Sort of. I don't quite understand it, but that's okay. I would think.
So I
we would
think part
have
of what
the
we've
max
done,
budget that we would put into the budget, and then usually that's how you budget things is, what you're.
Well, we had money set aside that we could pay for the court, but the bids came in lower than what we had. So we were prepared to budget for a higher amount. So it's not like we're gonna have to come back for funds.
I guess what I don't understand is why we need to add an additional if it's coming in lower.
So let's say we approve the contract for 112,920. And we have the contractor on site and we start construction of the court and we hit a underground electrical line that we have to have rerouted. We don't have the time to come back to this board to approve the additional funds under that contract to move that electrical line. So these change orders would cover instances like that throughout the construction project.
Okay.
It's money that not automatically spent. It's there in case we need it through the project management.
Okay, thanks.
And we do this, I know land use is really one of the, and DPW when they need to, that we do have that contingency of 10%.
Most of our projects where we can't see
Projects do,
underground.
right.
Yeah, most of the underground projects, we do a change order because we can't see what's under the courts.
So it's actually a contingency fee? Is that what it is?
Sort of, yes. Yeah,
Sort of, yeah.
Yes, it's the same intent, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Hughes or Mr. Stowers? All in favor? All right. All right, that's approved. Thank you. Unanimous. So we're going to move on to 5C. Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into an agreement for the use of Oyster Shell Park and immediate surrounding grounds by NICE Inc. for the NICE Festival to be held on Saturday, October 4th, 2025, from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Setup time by 6 a.m. Friday, October 3rd, with tear down by 8 p.m. Sunday, October 5th. Approximately 500 people. Would someone move the item, please? Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Okay. Do we have Ms. Janet Evelyn here? Thank you.
And Evelyn here as well, speak.
Ms. Evelyn?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can now.
Okay.
So you want to tell us a little bit about the event?
Well, as you know, the big news is we're staging it for the 9th year. And that's a wonderful thing. It would have been our 10th year had it not been for COVID. So we're quite excited about staging the festival this year. We wanted to take we had some challenges over the past few years, the festival before having been in the summer and being very close to July 4th. And also the last few years, we've just had very difficult challenges for ourselves and also for our attendees, our families with children, most of all, that have voiced their concern that they love the festival, they want to bring the kids out, but they haven't been able to do so because of the heat index. Particularly last year, it was extremely oppressive. Last year, we got a meeting of the minds. We got the team players together on the board. We also got some input from the community as well. Many of the attendees that support this program over the years. And we thought that transitioning and moving it to a month where the weather is much milder would be better. We've gotten a tremendous positive response to that. We sent out some notices and we have seen a just massive uptick, a lot of families with children and literally the entire community voicing how pleased they are with moving the festival to the early fall. So that's the big news. Normally we would have been doing it from 11 to 10 p.m. With this later date and early darking hours, we're going to shift the festival to 12 noon to 8 p.m., which is still a very big long day for any kind of outdoor festival event. So that's what we're planning to do this year. And of course, we're still planning to utilize. I feel like the Oyster Shell Park should be called the Nice Park because that certainly has been home for the festival since its inception. And as you guys know, we brought a tremendous amount of awareness to the park and to that area, having staged the program there for, again, the last 9 years.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I'm happy to hear about that move to October too. And I think you're just going to be overwhelmed with people, which will be a good thing of attendees. So thank you very much. Does anyone have any comments or questions for Ms. Evelyn?
No,
Or
no,
I'm sorry, Ken, Mr. Stowers or Ken?
we were pleased with this move because we really don't have any very many events in that time of the year. And in fact, it would be good to have a few more events, maybe at the end of September, in October, the early fall, where it just goes blank. So we were pleased with that. In fact, and talking to our event specialist, Rebecca, I told her I hope she does move it. So she did. So that's great. I think it's going to be great, actually.
Thank you. Any comments from committee members? Mr. Lopez.
Thank you, Chair. No, I was going to say I'm glad that Sylvan they actually did decide to move the event. I remember last year it was hot. I mean, I really felt like I was going to melt. And so a lot of people kind of discouraged to stay there too long because of the heat. So I'm glad to hear that they adjusted.
Well, thank you so very much. And that's what we saw. We didn't just decide this on ourselves. Like I said, we did get the entire community involved. We sent out a survey to our attendees through our newsletter and also to all of our vendors as well to kind of get a measurement on how they would feel about the move. So it was definitely on the positive side to move it to that time of the year.
All right.
Ms. Dunn? I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it. Is there a rain date for this, though? That's often a rainy weekend. I'm a little worried for you.
Well, based on last year, I don't know if we continue on the same weather trend that we had last year. It's going to be a very dry, very warm October. We generally do not have a rain date for the festival because of the massive amount of logistics that goes into staging it for that day, and it's not something that we can easily turn over for a different day. So we don't do, it is rain or shine.
I'm gonna hope.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Any other questions for Miss Evelyn? All right. All in favor? That's unanimous. And let's keep our fingers crossed for a beautiful day.
Yes, indeed. It will be a nice day.
And Miss Evelyn, as I've always said, thank you for your vision of this for the city. And, I'll just call it 10 years. Let's forget about COVID, but 10 years of this has been a real gem for the city. And it's a real family and cultural event. And so thank you for all that you do.
Thank you very much.
Okay. 5D. I'm sorry. Okay. Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into an agreement for the use of Matthews Park and immediate surrounding grounds by Lockwood Matthews Mansion for their 18th annual old-fashioned flea market to be held on Sunday, September 14th, 2025 from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Set up time by 7 a.m. with tear down by 10 p.m. Approximately 2,500 people. Someone move the item, please. Thank you, Mr. Lopez. And we have Mr. Hill.
Good evening, councilors. How are you?
Good. How are you?
All is well over here. Little under the weather, but otherwise fine.
All right. So you want to share with us about the old-fashioned flea market?
Gladly. As it's been in the past 6 years or so that I've been working with the flea market, it's been a continual evolution of the event, and it's grown in its success as the years have passed. Last year, I think we really made a big breakthrough with traffic control and ensuring that there was not a huge impact on our neighboring institutions and the neighboring people in Norwalk through control of parking spaces and good cooperation with the police department to ensure that everything ran smoothly. But other than that, the event will be running the same way it has in the past. Free public admission, no rain date. It's rain or shine unless it's, we're going to hope that there's no catastrophic weather. But, if there should be something like a hurricane, that is the only instance of cancellation. Otherwise, it's rain or shine. And, that's where we are. If any councilors have any further questions, I'm happy to answer them as they come up.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Hill? I'm sorry, Mr. Stowers or Mr. Hughes, do you have any?
No, this is an event that's been annual. It's worked out. It attracts a lot of people, and I know they had a lot of obstruction with the construction, and so this is a year where they'll be free of that. So we're all in favor of this.
Okay. Any other comments from committee members? Nope. All in favor? It's unanimous, Mr. Hill.
Thank you very much, Councilor.
Have a great evening and feel better.
I'm working on it. Thank you. Enjoy the evening as well.
Okay. 5E, authorize the use of Brian McMahon High School, Brookside Elementary School, Roten Middle School, and Rowayton Elementary School and their immediate surrounding grounds by Norwalk Public Schools for their first book event to be held on May 17th, 2025 from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Setup time at 7 a.m. would tear down by 5 p.m. Approximately 2,000 people. Someone move this item, please. You look like you want to move it, Ms. Edie. Okay, thank you. And who do we have here to speak? Oh, Mr. Pennington, how are you?
I'm doing well, Ms. Young. Good evening, council members. Thank you. So this is going to be our 4th year in a row where we have had the opportunity to, in collaboration with our unions, to have the First Book event in Norwalk, where we give away up to 50,000 books to community to the community. It really promotes literacy, learning, and a love of reading. And it's an amazing event, and we're excited to, hopefully be able to offer it again this year, and the community will come out and get lots of free books, and that's something that we're extremely passionate about.
Wonderful. Any comments, Mr. Stowers, Ms. Hughes? Ms. Edie?
No, I don't have any comments.
Thank you, Chair. Oh, sorry, Mrs. Stowers.
No, he doesn't have any comments.
It's a great.
Oh, okay. Okay. No, thank you for your presentation. I just wanted to know, are you taking donation for books?
We get a shipment of books from an organization called First Book.
Okay.
And we end up getting about 50,000 books that we have available for people to come, and they can take as many books as they want that day. And it's last year people were coming all day. It's turned into a really great event, full community event. We have different food options, and so it's more than just coming and grabbing books.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Dunn?
I just want to say it's a really great event. I know there's a lot of activity and a real sense of community. My kids come back usually the next day and are really, really excited about the books that they get. So thank you very much for organizing it. It's really great.
Okay. If there are no other comments, all in favor? All right, that's unanimous. All right, Mr. Pennington, you are all set.
Thank
And
you
good
so
luck.
much, and have a great evening.
You as well. 5F, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into an agreement for the use of Oyster Shell Park, Veterans Park, and immediate surrounding grounds by Jim Gerwick for their O'Neill's 5K to be held on Sunday, June 1st from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Approximately 500 people. Would someone move that item, please? Thank you, Ms. Dunn. And Mr. Stowers, who do we have? We have Mr. Gerwick here.
Jim Gerwick. Jim's here to talk about it, the race.
Yep, I'm here. Yep, same event. This would be, I think, the 13th year that it's been held. It's always the beneficiary is always a local youth related charity. This year it's I think it's Norwalk First Steps, which is a group, the organization at the high school that places students who have some sort of the developmental issues or whatever into jobs during high school and after. So that's basically it. Same operation as it's always been.
Okay. All right. Anyone, Mr. Stowers or Mr. Hughes, you have any comments?
No, I'm a runner, so it's a great running event, and I'm all for that. I'm all for people out running. So, no.
Any comments?
I just have a question. Jim, is that Next Steps maybe?
Yes, sorry.
Next Steps?
Okay.
Okay.
First
Those are
steps,
my
next
students.
steps, whatever. It's
a
late.
great
It's been a
program.
long day. Yeah, it is. Yep.
So thank you for doing that.
Okay. So can I ask, so I'm sorry, because we didn't vote yet. So how many young people do you end up being able to support?
I'm not sure what any total number is, but generally, the charities, the beneficiary, and it rotates around. Like last year, I think it was Norwalk Education Foundation. Generally, walk away. They generally get somewhere between $30,000 and $35,000.
That's amazing. That's really, really amazing. So
Yeah, I mean, after this, as I said, over the course of the event, and it was started by a family who lost a young young daughter suddenly, and they wanted to, make something good out of it. So they decided, putting on a race, and O'Neill stepped up as a sponsor, and they've been great for the first year. So I think they're approaching a total of $500,000 raised over the course of the event.
Wonderful, wonderful. So thank you for that. And thank you for
You're welcome.
explaining it, because I think we kind of just go through it and not realizing the real impact this event is having on the community.
Can I just really quickly, because I just want to, I think it's really important for the community to have a little information about it. Norwalk Next Steps is kids can go to school till they're 22 years old through Norwalk Public Schools. And so after they graduate from high school, they go and they have a job coach. So there's a lot of great businesses in Norwalk, and O'Neill's is one of them, where our young adults, instead of, sitting on the couch forever, actually go and have a job coach and can work and have, a lot of freedom. They get a little bit of pay too. And it's an amazing thing for our students and our young adults to really become good members of the community. But it all rests on businesses in our community stepping up and really supporting them. So O'Neill's is one of them. So if you go to O'Neill's, you may be helped out by one of our students, which is really great. Thanks. It's my
Thanks for expanding on that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Dunn. That's really helpful. I appreciate that. All right. If there are no further questions or comments, all in favor? All right, that's unanimous, Mr. Gerwick, and good luck and good weather. That's what we hope for, right?
Every year but the first, we've had good weather, so I don't want to say anything.
I won't, and we won't jinx it. Okay.
Right.
Have a good
right.
evening. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Yep. Bye-bye.
5G, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into an agreement for the use of Veterans Park and immediate surrounding grounds by Sono Entertainment for the Black Heritage Parade fundraiser carnival to be held on Friday, June 20th, Saturday, June 21st, and Sunday, June 22nd, 2025, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Setup time by 8 a.m. Wednesday, June 18th, with tear down by 12 p.m. Tuesday, June 24th. Approximately 250 people per day. Added that on because that was missing. Would someone move the item, please? Thank you, Mr. Sutton. So Mr. Stowers, want to talk a little?
Melanie Sweet's here to talk about.
Melody, you want Melody? Okay. Miss Reagan? Melody?
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
She sounds really low. It's really low.
We can't hear you at all.
Hold on a second.
We can't hear you.
Hold on 1 second. We're trying to get this.
Chair, she said to hold on for a quick sec. She's trying to fix it.
You guys hear me?
Now we can.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It's breaking up, though. It's not a clear connection. Can't hear you.
Everyone's breaking up right now.
Yeah, you're
again. Oh Lord. Can you hear me now?
You don't have a good connection.
Chair, should we move on to the next
I
item and
think
give her
so.
a chance
Melody,
okay.
we're gonna go to the next and come back to you, okay?
Leave and come back.
Okay. So we're gonna move on to H. Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to enter into an agreement for the use of Matthews Park and the immediate surrounding grounds by Jermaine Davis for the Sands Caribbean Festival to be held on Saturday, June 28th, 2025, from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Set up on Thursday, June 26th, and Friday, June 27th, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Would tear down by June 29th at 12 p.m., approximately 3,000 people. Someone move that item, please.
Yes, hello. Hello,
Wait,
everyone.
Mr. Lopez, okay.
Oh.
Okay, and so who do we have here?
Hey, this is Jade. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
So to make sure. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me today. Yeah, so Sands Music Festival, it is a celebration of Caribbean American culture in the Northeast. There's a strong emphasis on authentic music, fashion, decor, and themes to kind of adequately or effectively convey that vibrant culture. This would be our first time in Norwalk. However, we've been hosting this festival since 2014 and in the tri-state area since 2019 with great success. Typically whenever we host our event, we engage local businesses, local vendors, and we find that positively affects the economy, especially for small businesses, entrepreneurs, such as fashion entrepreneurs, barbershops, beauty salons, restaurants, food vendors, you know, fashion startups, things of that nature. Um, we know what we're doing, so we typically engage the police, obviously, to, handle traffic or to assist with traffic, crowd control, and things of that nature. So that's pretty much the summary.
Can you describe a little bit about what goes on, the kind of the content of the festival?
The content of the festival. So it's so as we said, it's a music festival. So we typically hire or we would book at least one or two primary acts, and they're going to be reggae artists. But the remainder of the event is driven by prominent DJs from the Caribbean and the diaspora.
Any food, any vendors?
I cannot hear you. I'm sorry.
Any food vendors?
Oh yeah. So definitely, certainly, there'll be food. We'll definitely have vendors, and as I said, we typically engage local vendors from the immediate community to facilitate the food portion of things.
So I do have a question.
Yeah, sure.
So is 3,000 the normal? I mean, is that what you experienced in other locations?
Yeah, correct. Give or take, like 500 or so. But that's kind of what we anticipate and budget for.
And I think to Mr. Stowers' point about, so I think I heard you mention food trucks. Did I hear that right?
We said food vendors, but food trucks would be an option if that's allowed.
So when you said vendors, so then what are you referring to?
It would be more so restaurants. So local restaurants, they would provide catering services. So they'll, we'll give them the opportunity to, move on site via tents and so forth and sell directly to our patrons.
Okay. And so does this require I'm sorry, Ms. So, Mr. Stowers, this is going to require the mobile stage or anything with the music? How's this working?
We haven't talked about the logistics, but in terms of food, they have to go through the special events. Everything has to be cleared through the special events, which means, health department, food, inspected, all that has to be cleared before they will get a permit.
And are they going to utilize our stage for the? You said you're gonna have a no.
We can't even move our.
Okay.
We need a whole new, if we move it, it'll probably fall apart. So no, they'll have to get their own stage after. Much like the Nights Festival. The Nights Festival no longer uses our stage, they bring their own in. So,
Ms. Dunn, you had your hand up?
Can you tell me what other cities you've had this festival and how long? I know, it's starting a festival is hard and building a following and letting people know. It seems odd to me that you would be moving around. Can you tell me some of the cities that you're in?
So that's actually the concept. We kind of take our festival on the road, if you wanna, if you wanna use that phrase. So we've done it in Jamaica. We've obviously, well, Jamaica, West Indies. We've done it in Florida. We've done it in Atlanta. Um, we are scheduled to do it in the UK this summer, and we've done it primarily here in the Northeast in New York City.
When did you do it in New
Well,
York?
Brooklyn specifically. What's that?
When did you do it in New York City?
New York City, the most recent one was 2024, and that was hosted at Coney Art Walls. You guys are familiar with Coney Island?
Mhm.
Yeah, so they have a pretty nice venue that they allow large scale activations in. But yeah,
Any
this is
other
certainly, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, but this is certainly an opportunity for us to kind of expand into a different market a bit too. So
Any other questions? Mr. Lopez?
Thank you, Chair. Quick question for Jade. In when you in the past, have you encountered any significant challenges at all in your previous work?
well, nothing significant, nothing that we can't manage. Typically, we, as I said, we're seasoned professionals. We hire a security team. We engage the city, our neighbors, but more importantly, the police department. So we're able to, kind of handle anything that comes up, whether internally or, well, I don't think the police has ever had to get involved in anything.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jay.
Any other questions? Go ahead,
One
Ms.
more. And so you have a Main Avenue address. Are you located here in Norwalk? Where is
Main
your
Avenue.
business? You have a tax ID. That's your address?
No, give me just a moment. Sorry. Forgive me. So my partner actually entered the application. Gotcha. Yeah, sorry, my partner entered the application, so I don't have that information in front of me, what information he used. But no, we don't have a local Connecticut address.
That's what's on the application.
Yeah, I think my partner, um, I believe my partner, he engaged a local business person there, and I believe that's how they're going about this.
Any other
Yeah,
questions?
yeah, I
Mr.
think
Stowers, you want to address that?
Yeah, I think they have a person here that will be doing some of their and decorations and that kind of thing. So they're working on her. She's the one that filled out the application for them, but it's their business that is doing this event.
Any other questions, concerns? I have a question about, so when you're setting up, are you having someone on site to, like, what are you setting up? Is it
So
those-
what? Yeah, so obviously, we're gonna do full production. So obviously, we're gonna bring in a stage. We're gonna bring in tents, things of that nature, tables. In terms of having someone on site, do you mean overnight while we're not
Yes.
working?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So we can certainly have a security guard or someone man the venue while we're not there. Typically, we'll use venues that you could essentially lock at nighttime. And if that's the case, then you just leave. But somewhere that's open like that, obviously the right thing to do would be to have somebody stand guard overnight.
Yeah, that would be required. That would be required. We would require that from
Oh, absolutely. We'll comply with that requirement.
yeah, at our dog show, we require it's the same thing. People have to have security guards on things. So it would be something required by a special events permit.
Any other questions, comments? And Mr. Stowers, you're comfortable with
Yeah,
this so far? But again, they still have other things that they need to do. There's a
Yeah.
whole list of,
Yeah.
of things that they have to go through.
They've
And,
already
and,
applied.
yeah,
They've-
and,
they've-
yeah.
They've already applied for special events. They've filled out that. They've been in touch with the police, and they've already started there to comply with all the requirements. But in order to get the special events permit, they will have to comply with everything. That means parking plan, that means security plan, that means all that. So, yeah.
So Mr. Stowers, I don't know if your mic is not working as well. Folks are having a hard time hearing you. Okay, any other questions for Mr. J? Comments? No. And Mr. Stowers, you're comfortable with at this
Yeah.
point? At this point?
Yeah, I'm as comfortable as any other event. I mean, all our events, we have to make sure. Can you hear me? I mean, can you hear me now?
A little louder, I think. I'm
Little
just
louder?
getting, yeah.
Yeah, all our events, we try now to have staff there at our events.
Okay, right.
And we work with the mayor's office not to issue any permits unless everything's complied with. So I'm comfortable with that.
Okay. All right. All in favor? Okay. Opposed, abstentions? One abstention?
No, I'm
Are you
opposed.
opposed? Okay.
I don't think there's enough information here for us. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Jade, and hope this is a successful event.
Well,
You're in the
thanks very much. Really appreciate you guys having us tonight.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna move back up to B,
Back up to,
adopt the tree master plan for the city of Norwalk, April 25. Would someone
doing
move
that?
that item?
Can I just ask a question, Darlene?
Sure.
That's gonna go in front of the council, right? So that the neighborhood has another opportunity to kind of
Yes.
get
Yes.
some information and bring it to us?
Yes,
Okay.
because of the number of people, absolutely. Those these have to get,
All right, thank you.
Are we going
so we're
back
gonna
to-
move up. Go ahead.
Are we going back to Melody or?
B, right?
No, we're going back, yeah.
Okay, could you
Yes,
guys hear
I
me?
just read that. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we
We're going
can-
back to Melody. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry. So we're gonna go back to G. And I'll read it just one more time, Melody. We can hear you. Authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to enter into an agreement for the use of Veterans Park and immediate surrounding grounds by Sono Entertainment for their Black Heritage Parade fundraiser carnival to be held on Friday, June 20th, Saturday, June 21st, Sunday, June 22nd, 2025, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Set up time by 8 a.m. Wednesday, June 18th, with tear down by 12 p.m. Tuesday, June 24th, approximately 250 people per day. Would someone move that item, please? Thank you, Mr. Lopez. All right, Ms. Reagan?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we did.
Okay, good. Okay, so good evening, everyone. I apologize for my computer difficulties, but nonetheless, I'm here. I'm on my computer and on my phone in case this should go wrong. But anyways, so this carnival is for our Black Heritage Parade fundraiser, which will be taking place in September. I have not met with you guys with that yet because I wanted to do that next month. But this carnival, I was here earlier and I heard the people that were opposed to it. So first I'd like to just speak with them because I'm also an East Norwalk resident and I live on the marina. So I live between the St. Anne's Carnival, the Gay Pride Fest, as well as the Oyster Festival, and the marina traffic that goes through. But I understand where I live. You know, I chose to live there and I know that these things happen and it is a city park, you know, and I'm not saying they're wrong for their concerns, but I've never complained about anything because I understand what the celebrations and the festivals are all about. So I'm hoping that they would be considerate to think about what this festival is all about. It's been 27 years since we've had a Black Heritage Parade. And so that's being revamped. And this is the fundraiser that we're going to hopefully kick off Juneteenth weekend, which is also a Black holiday. And I think it's befitting for us to do, you know, to have this carnival during that weekend. And the carnival that I'm using, I used them before, Marina Amusement. I did them in 2017. In 2016, I apologize. And Mr. Bonifant was there. It was at Andrews Field. And the problem there with that location was nobody attended. So it cost a lot of money and we lost a lot of money to raise money. And I thought I switched it from the Dolo Foundation on purpose to the Lift Foundation because I'm a vendor with the city of Norwalk with the Lift Foundation, which is an acronym for Learning is Fun Too. And just for those with the Dolo Foundation, since doing that, my husband passed away. His name is Dolo, and he's now an acronym, which is Death of Loved Ones. So what I do under that umbrella is I help people navigate through grief and mental resources. And I wanted to raise funds for that so we can continue on with some other things, as well as the Black Heritage Parade. So with the parade, it's in the park. And I know the Oyster Festival is there, you know, and I know the Gay Pride is there, which they say is tens of thousands of people, or how many thousands. We're talking about way less than that in the first one. And I support all of them. So I'm not mad at any of those things. They don't bother me. It's hard for me to get home when these things are happening because of traffic, but I understand what's going on. So I just make I navigate different ways. As far as the noise, I may have completed the application incorrectly because when I did it before, it was not online, it was a paper application. So some things I was a little confused about, but nothing that can't be fixed. So I put will upload later if I was confused or whatever. So the carnival is a reputable amusement park by Marina Amusement. I've used them before. They're all over Connecticut. And this is their contribution to the Black Heritage Parade. And they're going to give us funds. You know, we're going to make funds off of that to be able, hopefully, not to charge people for the parade and be able to fund most of it ourselves. As far as the area that we'd like to use, we like to use the far side of Veterans Park, which is the Overton side. I don't know whether that's north, east, south, or west when we're talking about Veterans Park, but we're talking about the blacktop only, having the rides over there. And the hours would be Friday. So they would load in that Wednesday, Thursday, and be ready for the state inspection that Friday. And that Friday we'd open from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then the Saturday, we plan on going from 12 p.m. I think I have 11, but I think it's going to be 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then that Sunday would be the same, 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. As far as amplified noise, I'm not sure how amplified the noise will be, but I couldn't imagine it being any louder than any other event. In fact, I don't anticipate it being as loud as any of these events. And if I did make a mistake saying that it's 250 people every day, that's not what I meant. I meant 250, and I thought that was a safe number. 250 that Friday or maybe Saturday and Sunday. I really don't know how many people, because if we had 20 people the last time I did it, we were lucky on one of those days. So I'm just hoping for, I'm hoping for a great turnout. People are excited, and it's Father's Day weekend also, and kids are out of school. And I think it's great that kids have something to do when they get out of school. We don't have carnivals unless it's at the Oyster Festival or the St. Anne's Festival. And I'm talking locally, where people who aren't as fortunate as others, they can walk to. So I'm really looking forward to doing it at Vets Park, because it's a lot of exposure, and it's conveniently located no matter where you reside in Norwalk. If you're in East Norwalk, you can walk. If you're in West Norwalk, you can walk. If you're in South Norwalk, you can walk. So we're looking for something that's convenient. I heard someone speak about Oyster Shell Park. That won't happen because carnival rides can't go up top, not that many rides. And the amount of rides would be between 8 and 10 rides, I believe. I have there between 8 and 10 rides. So you can't have that kind of event at Oyster Shell Park. And because of the time that we've entertained every single park in Norwalk. We weighed out the pros and the cons, how we can do it, because we're loading in. It takes 2 days to load in this carnival, because we're not talking about bounce houses and simple things to inflate and deflate. We're talking about millions of dollars worth of rides and thousands of pounds, worth of ride. I mean, with rides. So it's not that easy. It does take that amount of time to set up safely. And although they will start breaking down Sunday, right after the carnival, it probably won't go till Tuesday, but I put that as a cushion just in case they didn't get everything out Monday and they needed to come back and get something on Tuesday morning. Let's see what else I have there. I was taking notes. I think that's it, because I did say that, and the carnival will employ some of our local teens. We did that before, and that's exciting, because who gets to work at a carnival? So I'm excited, because those are things that I like to do within our program, and I like to provide opportunities, new opportunities to some of our teens in Norwalk and adults as well. And I think that that's about it. Unless I left something out, I want to hear questions, and I'm hoping that you guys, that you do support this, because like I said, we're raising funds for something for our Black Heritage Parade that hasn't been done in 27 years, and I think it's important to show our diversity in the great city of Norwalk. I'm a citizen here too, and I represent my culture, my heritage, and I like to have a parade, and I like to march, and I know other people, whether you're Black, Dominican, Jamaican, Haitian, whatever, if you check that box, I'm sure that it's time that you want to see yourselves represented in the city of Norwalk also, where we all pay taxes. And I think that it's only fair that we're able to use Vets Park within reason. And I understand everyone's concerns, and I'm ready to whatever it is that's going to make them feel better. But I think it's important that they understand that it's important that all of us show our culture, our heritage, and get, and be able to use our city parks as well. And they live across the street from a park. So we're talking about sports in the summertime. We're talking about boats where the bridge goes up and those hard, loud horns are going, the steamboat. I know the traffic because I live on the marina. So it's not quiet, whether we had it or not. It's not quiet at Vets Park in the summertime up until throughout the fall. So I'm hoping that the council do understand this, and I do get support from this, and you pass it.
Thank you, Ms. Reagan. Do we have any questions or comments for Ms. Reagan? Yes, Ms. Dunn.
I'd want to say I think it's really good that she has skin in the game. I think base level, it sounds like a really good event that would be good for the community. I do worry a little bit about the, safety and the making sure that there are police there and stuff like that. But I think it sounds like a fun thing. So thank you for doing it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I wanted to add on too, that we will be using, of course, the local police, the local EMT, and everyone that we need to have in position to ensure that it is safe, as well as our own volunteer security. And also, when I told them that when we, because we visited the park, Marina Amusement and we visited the park, and they looked around and they said that they don't see that much light, but they have light towers that they can make it look like daytime at any given time. So I was excited to even share that, and for them to even look around and notice that and bring that to me and tell me, you know, Sweets, they call me, we noticed that it's not that many lights here, but don't worry about it. We have light towers that can light this whole field up, even though we're not using it. If we needed to light everything up, we can light it up and make it look like daytime. So they're on board with our safety. They're on board with everything because they understand the concerns. They've been doing carnivals for since 1970. And so all the things that before I can even ask or address anything, they brought it to me. So I was happy with that in their consideration of Norwalk in the park.
And is there anything specific you're doing to address your neighbors' concerns at all? Anything that that you're doing specifically?
Yeah, we're ending at 9. We're not ending at 10 or 11. I know what the ordinance is. So we're ending it at 9, you know, and people can go on, you know, and I think that's a fair time. You know, it's 2 hours before the ordinance or maybe an hour. I thought it was 11, maybe it's 10, but whatever it is, it won't go as long as other events do. We want to end at 9. We want everyone to be happy because we want to do this as an annual thing. We don't want to drop the ball with the Black History Parade again and have it another 27 years, you know, so we have a committee of generations. So some are older than me, some are younger than me. So God forbids, if anything happens to anyone, it can still go on and it wouldn't take this long because everyone 27 years ago, there's only one person still living and he's 78. You know, we don't want that for the city of Norwalk. We see longevity with this. And yeah, like I said, with the citizens, we want to cut it early, 9 o'clock. So, and I think that's a fair time. It's a shorter time, but nonetheless, it's in consideration of the residents, including myself.
Yeah, we purposely asked them to close down at 9. And on Sunday, they will be closing at 6. So I think that's a compromise in terms of allowing the residents in to enjoy their evening.
Any other questions for Ms. Reagan? Mr. Lopez?
Oh, I think you should know. It's a good question for Robert. Mr. Sowers, like in your experience, is there much of a difference between the noise level for like a music festival, compared to a like a carnival?
Yeah, I think there is a difference.
Right. Yeah. So I'm assuming the carnival would generate less noise or amplify noise than an actual music festival. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? No. All right. So we'll call a vote. If there are no more, all in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Lopez. You had your hand. I didn't see you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, real quick to Mr. Sowers. Mr. Sowers, I know there was one resident that spoke about or was concerned about something with the porta potty at across the street at Vets Park. Is there anything we can do to give them guidance or is there anything
Let me look into it. I don't know.
Okay.
Ken's on the call too. I don't know if he knows about is it related, Ken, is it related to the construction or
Yeah, so
anything?
I think the one he's talking about was the one that was put outside the gates when they were doing the walk bridge construction along Seaview Avenue, running the lines under the harbor, because that was placed around the same time last October, and I believe it's still there, because they still are doing work around the Veterans Park area, but I'll confirm that tomorrow.
Okay, great. All right, thanks a lot. Yeah, thank you.
And to that point though, and is it locked? Because I guess they're saying that people are using it, but you can always break that lock, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if the construction team locks it or not. They typically do, but I'm not sure on this one. The only porta-john we have in the park is in the center of the park, next to the main bathrooms, because those are seasonal. So we close those around November. But that porta-john is all the way by the baseball field in the center of the park.
Thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Reagan? Comments? Okay, if there are none, all in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. So Melody, I
Yes.
appreciate you bringing this back. And I hope for good weather. And thank you for listening to the residents and Mr. Stowers and you and making some adjustments here. And so I know this will be, I'm hoping this will be a great event for now and well into the future. So thank you
Thank you.
for getting this started.
Absolutely, you're welcome. And thank you, Mr. Stowers as well, because yeah, he did help me. I did have it till 10 and he really did consider the residents. I thought Sunday was 8, he said 6, you know, and it's only fair. So I do appreciate that guidance from you and all the help, you know, in helping us. So thank you all and have a great night. And I hope to see you all June 20th, 21st, and 22nd.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Good night.
Right, so we're gonna move up to B, right? We're done with those items. B, adopt the tree master plan for the city of Norwalk, April 2025. Mr. Stowers?
Yes, what we want to present tonight is the tree master plan for adoption in.
Oh, Mr. Stars, quick question. Chair, do you have to Chair, do you have to formally
Move
move
that
it?
item. Yes.
Yeah, right. Okay, I
Thank
moved
you,
it.
Mr.
Okay,
Lopez.
there it
Yeah.
is.
Sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
Sorry,
It's fine.
Sarah.
Jumping the gun there.
Okay.
So anyway, we are bringing this to you, the tree master plan. We've been at least 2 years working on this since 2023 when we first started this project. We began this project with an RFP in which we looked at several companies around the country, and we selected Planet Geo to do our tree master plan for Norwalk. Around maybe after a third of that time, working with the project team, which was composed of DPW, TMT, the Office of Conservation, and of course Parks. That was our team, our project team. And we got to a certain point, maybe a quarter through the scope of work before we hired the magnificent Sarah Cruz. And so, and so Sarah's taken this project on, and she's been our project manager and lead, so I'll turn this over to her.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. I'll be brief. I just want to introduce Chris Piper from Planet Geo. We were at this committee, I believe, a month ago or maybe 2 months ago, in which Chris was able to present the draft plan to everybody, or at least an overview of it. And Chris is going to go over, you know, what has happened in the meantime, but I want to mention that we held two workshops. One was kind of an internal stakeholders with city staff. We had over 30 folks from city staff, tree advisory committee, the mayor's office attend. And we also gathered survey data from those events. And then we had a second workshop with the general public. A lot of local organizations attended. We had about 20 folks there. And so after meeting with this committee, presenting the draft plan, we sought to get additional input, see what folks were interested in, see what areas we maybe needed to highlight in the plan. Questions came up that we wanted to address. And so at this point, we were at the final plan stage, and Chris will speak to that. But we just want the committee to hear, you know, what kind of things we heard from those workshops, what updates have been made, and then hear your questions, comments, concerns. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Chris at Planet Geo.
All right. Thanks, Sarah. This is Chris Piper at Planet Geo. Just want to let you all know, if you can hear me, I do not see the button for sharing screen yet. but I was able to see the prompt to unmute my mic. So looking for that and the camera. But while that gets situated, just want to thank you all again for the opportunity. Like Sarah and Robert mentioned, we presented the draft plan and key findings and highlights and pointing you to sections of the plan. And so that way we could incorporate the feedback.
I'm just promoting him to panelist. That's probably why he can't screen share. Just give him 1 sec.
Yep, and we're getting there. Thank you. Appreciate that. And so while that's getting connected, also, Robert, thanks for the kind words on Planet Geo. We really appreciate the opportunity. It's been an endeavor going from data collection and analysis and research to getting to where we're at today. And so I'm going to hit that shared screen button and get into a brief presentation. And so with that, you'll see a title slide here shortly. And all right. And so wanted to just give a brief overview. We've met before, see familiar faces and names, but Chris Pfeiffer, Director of Urban Forestry Strategy at Planet Geo since 2014, so a little over 10 years. And working on these types of management and master plans for communities and organizations looking for sustainable urban forestry. And with that overview, Planet Geo provides a suite of services and software which really aligned with the RFP for this project, where we looked at data collection, a top-down canopy assessment, along with a bottom-up sample inventory of public trees in order to have a data-driven and stakeholder-driven master plan. And so now when we're at the stage of the draft plan and completing our engagement process on the draft plan, we're just going to give a brief overview of those methods that we conducted to gather that feedback. And then we'll highlight how we applied this feedback to the final draft, which will then lead to a discussion. So just bear with me 1 minute while I readjust some windows here. And you all should be seeing the agenda slide and going to get into an overview of how we gathered plan feedback. And so once we drafted the initial plan, the project team met to strategize on how we're going to gather extensive feedback so that we create a plan that is really supported by stakeholders and the community. And so the following slides, we're going to highlight some of these methods, which included extensive messaging, along with the meetings with city and you all back in February, where we discussed the draft plan, the interactive workshops that were held in March. We had project team feedback on the updated plan that we applied the feedback to, and then our meeting tonight with you all to share how this feedback was applied. And then we laid out this process and the schedule to completion, all in an effort to bring this plan forward to Common Council later in April here so that they can consider adopting the final master plan. And so the city raised awareness about the draft plan and the opportunities for sharing feedback using social media, along with a web page that was dedicated to the draft plan, and also messaging with committees and organizations to encourage participation from their networks and the community. And so in February, we met with the mayor's office and heads of city departments to discuss the master plan's drafts before we brought it forward to other stakeholders and the community. And so we looked at the draft goals and strategies. And primarily, we discussed the feasibility and the criteria that goes into the canopy cover goals, the priority planting areas, and to make sure that these strategies are strategic, they're measurable, they're attainable, they're realistic and local to the community, and that they're time-bound to ensure that this plan is a success. And also held this past February was our meeting together where we covered topics like the canopy goal, priority areas for planting, and sustainable urban forest management solutions. And this included integrating strategies with planning and zoning and the complete streets policy, monitoring canopy cover and public trees, the best practices for tree species selection and planting, along with input on the March workshops. And from those discussions, key feedback included integrating canopy goals into planning and zoning and updating ordinances and requirements around trees, engaging stakeholders like conservation groups, and strategies for increasing community participation and stewardship. So this was feedback that was gathered, and we completed additional feedback sessions as I'll summarize in the upcoming slides. But wanted to mention that upcoming, we share how we applied the feedback. And so the feedback that we gathered from you all in February was applied to this final draft of the tree master plan. And so the internal workshops were vital for this tree master plan. And this helped to facilitate discussions that identified the challenges surrounding existing trees and getting more trees in the ground for the benefits that they provide. And it also enabled a discussion to refine the strategies that were in the draft. And participants worked in groups, and we gave them planting guidelines, maps, large printed maps of city blocks for potential planting projects, tree species lists of those that could be selected for the planting site, and a fixed budget. So this opened up conversations about the real world challenges like overhead wires and other infrastructure. We find that, the sight lines that are required end up being a potential restriction, but necessary for safety. So all of these factors really opened the eyes as we had internal stakeholders weigh in on what was feasible and what other factors are at play. And so these ideas from the workshop then included improvement for staffing levels, public education, and updating ordinances. And also we looked at, there was a focus from the interactive sessions and the online survey that was held about the focus on growing trees, which resonated with stakeholders, which emphasizes the need for maintenance over just planting trees and making sure that there's a long-term planting plan for them. So then the following day, we held a similar workshop at the community room, and this was open to the public to gather feedback on the draft plan and the planting strategy. We wanted to engage with the community because the tree master plan looks to instill a shared commitment from not only city staff, but also stakeholders and the community at large, because this is an ongoing endeavor for sustainable urban forest. And so from these discussions and the interactive planting exercise, we found that the public share similar sentiments in the need to maintain existing trees as well as the trees that are planted toward a canopy goal. The participants also emphasized the need for ramped up public education in order to improve the tree planting and maintenance across the city. And we also found that, like the internal stakeholders, the public would like to see more innovative and collaborative planting strategies, among other areas for improvement, which included education, funding, tree regulations, staffing levels to meet the needs of a growing urban forest, and public-private partnerships. And so this slide summarizes those two workshops and what was shared on the previous slides, beginning with the details around the workshop, the process that was involved, along with the results of the engagement and the exercises. And so then this graphic also summarizes the key areas for improvement, as well as the challenges and the tree planting opportunities. We then discuss some of what those key areas for improvement are in terms of planting strategies, funding, and coordination across the city and stakeholders. And then we also gathered ideas that the public and stakeholders would like to see as it relates to the program and the trees in the urban forest in Norwalk. And lastly, we combined the feedback received to see what the stakeholders and the general public would like to see the city prioritize. And what rose to the top was that ongoing maintenance of trees, looking at the partnerships going forward to strengthen or create new partnerships, and also funding for that sustained level of management to maximize the long-term benefits that trees provide. And just quickly, on a personal note, I facilitate a lot of these workshops over the past 10 years. And so I just wanted to call out that this is one of the most effective and well-attended sessions that I've seen, where we've had multiple staff from multiple departments engage in that internal workshop. And so I really feel that that's a testament to Norwalk's commitment to urban forestry and to this tree master plan. And then we also had engaging discussions with the general public. And so just wanted to thank the project team and the city for putting together and hosting a successful event. And so what we'll get into next is just applying the feedback from the meetings that we held, the presentations, along with these workshops that were held in March. So once we completed the feedback gathering phase, we then determine if and how the draft plan gets updated. And so we have an extensive tracking sheet for how to gather and apply feedback and to track the progress and changes to the plan so that we can communicate that to those that provided feedback. So here's just an example where we summarize some of the feedback received from those workshops in March. Then we have the edit that is being considered, such as emphasizing public-private partnerships, innovative planting strategies, new programs or revamped programs like the firewood program, among others as listed here. And we have a PDF and a spreadsheet to support this to show the feedback that was received and how it was applied. So then we just have some references to where that feedback was applied in the final draft, along with the notes around the changes and the status of the edits, making sure that, we can't apply everything that we hear, but looking at ways to consider and then communicate and show our appreciation for the feedback that was gathered. And here's just one more example of a long list of edits that were addressed. This is where the city project team compiled edits from other staff, from other committees, and other stakeholders. And so we summarize these for presentation, but really just to touch on a few of these, it related to emphasizing the partnerships that exist and that are potential, the organizational structure of the city along with the programs for managing trees, and then also some clarifications on roles and responsibilities and other edits that make this a final draft, a finished product that we can present to you all today. And so again, just notes on those changes and then the status of the changes. And as it stands now, all of the edits that were shared through feedback have been addressed to date. And one last thing on applying feedback. As you can see in the previous slides, we summarize here as well. There was a lot of feedback regarding tree-related ordinances. And we found that the supporting report to the tree master plan, which was drafted last year, summarizes the process that we conducted, as well as the results of evaluating tree-related ordinances in Norwalk. And we followed a set of industry-accepted themes for our evaluations. And then from this evaluation, the planning team established tree regulation guidance and recommendations for the city to consider in the future. These are not directly listed in the tree master plan, but this is a supporting tool, supporting report for when those conversations and opportunities arise. And some of these recommendations included looking at updated definitions, defining and documenting industry standards and best practices, clarifying roles across departments, looking at the tree protection measures, especially during construction, but also through incentives for developers, and recommendations to update approved tree species for planting projects, which are based on the tree master plan strategies. So that concludes our overview of the feedback gathering process, what we heard and how it was applied so that we could create this final draft of the tree master plan and create a plan that is supported not only by the city, but also the community and stakeholders. And so at this time, I'm going to turn it over to the city's project team to cover the next steps and also here to weigh in on the schedule and the next steps. But I want to thank you for your time and attention and look forward to the discussion. Thank you.
Ms. Young, can I just add a quick comment there? She's on mute.
Yes.
Yes. I just want to emphasize, my background is, urban forestry consulting, and I've worked on master plans with other companies in the past, and I just want to emphasize how Chris and his team did such a wonderful job in terms of tailoring this plan to the needs of this city. And when I first joined in December 2023, I was so pleasantly surprised with how many people in this city, whether it's at City Hall or out in the community, really care about trees. And so since I began working on this project with Chris, I think that's been one of the major themes of this plan, was ensuring that it met the needs, the questions, the concerns of the community. And I think that's what will eventually, that's really what makes a plan, you know, in terms of adaptive management. That's what will get us to, you know, these goals that we're setting out to hit. This is what will create community buy-in. We really made great connections with local organizations at these workshops and even after that. And so I just want to kind of note that and thank Chris and his team for all their work on that. And also just note thank you to the community for your input and your investment in the environment in Norwalk.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from committee members? Comments? Mr. Lopez?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Chris, and thank you, Sarah. Chris, just a quick question. What was the extent of the conversation with P&Z in terms of the regulations, right? Encouraging developers to really plant more trees if they're kind of undertaking a project. As far as you can recall.
So Chris, if you want to explain like what research was done and then kind of how we cross-referenced where we can integrate the recommendations into P&Z.
Sure, yeah. So first we took a look at the ordinance evaluation process itself. So making sure that we could communicate our methodology for evaluating what's working and where potential gaps are. So that was a starting point there. And then getting into one of the overarching goals of the plan is a tree canopy cover goal. And what oftentimes are opportunities or could be constraints are the zoning classes. And so really we emphasized that this planting strategy, the canopy goal, is looking to accommodate the updated zoning regulations that were recently done. So that way, you know, it's not trying to end up in a situation where there are variances or there are off-site mitigation type of plantings, but looking at what is feasible with this zoning class, with what the current regulations are. And then the conversation then turned more to incentives, because it's a heavy lift to make changes to tree code, but there are opportunities where we can look at case studies of other communities that have incentivized developers to have wider setbacks for more green space, for more trees. And so that was more of the conversation around what are other cities doing, or here's one example of how we've applied an alternative solution to a planting strip where maybe there was no space, but there's an easement or a workaround to get a tree in the ground. And I will say, like, it was also really good conversation around alternative solutions. They overall, from my perspective, maybe because I'm the urban forester, very positive in looking at where trees can fit in, but being realistic. And so there's a really good dialogue back and forth there. Sarah?
Yeah, does that kind of address your question, Johan?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions from committee members? Okay. So I have to say thank you, Johan, for asking that question, because it's always something that I'm thinking about as far as planning and zoning is concerned, because we want to have that embedded in, right, in our department, in that department, when folks are building or tearing down and rebuilding, you know, the plan of trees and shrubbery and all that sort of stuff needs to be included. And we need to get to the place where that is our practice. And I just have to say thank you, Chris, for that presentation and the work that you've done here in the city. We really appreciate this comprehensive plan here, and it will definitely help us moving forward. But I'm singing the praises of Miss Sarah Cruz, who has only been here, how long, Sarah?
Like a year and a half.
A year and a
Give or
half,
take.
and has done amazing work in the city of Norwalk. And Robert sings your praises whether you know it or not, but you have been a great addition to this department and to the city and what you're bringing to the city. And we appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
And you do it in such a easy way. It just is amazing. So you're bringing people into your fold just by who you are. So we appreciate that.
Chair, if I
Thank
may,
you.
Sarah, you should use it. You might want to use it as an opportunity to ask for a nice little raise, nice little bump.
Yeah. We've got $5 in our pockets. That's the
No comment. No comment.
right. It's coming. But thank you.
So-
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So Robert, any other final comments, and then our ask for this committee?
Yeah, I think you guys have done a wonderful job, Sarah, and Chris. I can't say enough about Chris, but we want to move this on. We want the committee to move this on to the common council so we can adopt this plan for the city and begin implementation. So it's up to the committee.
So can we show by raising of the hands, we approve this plan to move it on to the next phase? All in favor? All right, it's unanimous. Thank you, Robert and the staff for all this work. And it's good work and it's necessary and kind of overdue, I think. So, but you're here now. So
Well,
the
thank you.
next, go ahead. I think that's
Yeah,
it.
thank you guys, and it's on the agenda for Earth Day, so you kind of have to.
Right,
So,
right.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, so we're moving down to 6A, discussion A.
I'm
the
sorry,
broad-
Chris, can you stop sharing your screen?
Okay. So we're down to discussion item A, Broad River Park Baseball Complex.
Yeah, we wanted to bring this, can you, I want you guys to be able to hear me. I know my.
Yeah, you got to speak a little louder.
Okay, I'll try to speak a little louder. The Broad River, complex, of course, has been in it's been in the making for, quite a while. It's been in our capital plan, before I came here. So I'm thinking 2021, it was probably in our capital plan. There wasn't a specific decision made about the type of field, although the thinking was that when I came here, the thinking was that it was going to be entire synthetic, and I call it synthetic, and some people call it artificial, but they don't call it astroturf anymore because it's not astroturf. So I just want to get that straight, okay? Not astroturf. It's made totally differently, and it's a whole different field. But beside the point. But this complex was really envisioned by some of the youth leagues, the city, a lot of our staff were involved, the former park directors. Ken Hughes was a big factor in this, and the vision that came from all these folks about having this tournament complex for baseball. And when you have a baseball tournament, you need a clover leaf. You need 3 fields. And so that's the way they're conducted. And what I want to do with the PowerPoint is get into the 3 alternatives or the 3 options we looked at as we work with our consultant, Stantec. But one of the things I want to bring out is one of the reasons why synthetic turf was such a benefit to cities is because, and to athletes, is because athletics is no longer a seasonal venture. You have select leagues in just about every sport, and they play year round, with the exception of a few months. So artificial turf is just more than just having a field that is maybe a little easier to maintain. It's all-weather field, but it also suits the trend in athletics, and the athletes now with their select leagues and so forth is year-round. It's not just seasonal anymore. With that, I want to go into talk about the different options that we looked at. First of all, we looked at a synthetic infield only. As I stated, when I came here, I think the trend was to look at an all synthetic field. But knowing the politics, where I came from, where we have 27 or 28 now, I think, synthetic fields in Seattle, knowing the politics and also knowing that none of us, sometimes there has to be compromises. So we talked about, why don't we build a hybrid field as one of our options. Let's look at that, where the majority of the field, the whole outfield would be grass, and only the infield would be synthetic. And not only would it be synthetic, we wouldn't use crumb rubber as the traditional synthetic fields. You really use cork, which we've experimented on the West Coast, and it's been very successful experiment to replace crumb rubber. So we looked at this as a compromise to entire synthetic field. So the pros, of course, is maintenance reduction. There's more consistency of play, and that's what I was talking about, year-round play. Storm event recovery. That means when it rains, the recovery is much quicker. In fact, in most wet weather, you can still play on synthetic infield. The initial price is about the same. It's in the same area. We know there's a PFAS concern, but we do have, as we stated, we have letters that indicate that that some manufacturers saying that the way they produce the field, it's PFAS free. So that could be tested, and so we continue to look at this. So that's one of the options we looked at. The cost is not 9.5 million, but about 4 million of that is drainage, and another million is about $1 million plus is contingency. So the real cost of this field without contingency and without the drainage issues would be around 4 million. The next option we looked at was our traditional clay field. So it's a skim field. In the infield is a skim field, which we base with clay infield. So the pros on this is long tradition. This is a long traditional use within the baseball sport. It has a lower initial installation cost than synthetic turf, but not that much lower. There's no concern for synthetic materials, fibers, backing, and feel. So there's no concern for PFAS. Cons are they require more frequent maintenance, regular raking and dragging, adding additional surface conditioners as elements of demand, regular edging and maintenance between the clay and the grass infield. Limited maintenance can result in uneven play. Surface for athletes requires proper placement and maintenance of clay surfaces and interface between clay and grass. Improper interface can lead to encroachment and lip formation. The clay being a natural substance lends to migration on the grass. So all in all, it's a daily ongoing maintenance concern. Our last option was all grass play field. The all grass play field is, as it says, it's all grass. It has lower initial installation costs than synthetic turf, but similar to clay. Cost is about the same as the clay infield. Lawn maintenance is part of the regular city maintenance operation, so we do lawn maintenance. The cons are infield would require more frequent maintenance of the infield for proper safety and playability. A lawn infield would require maintenance year round to maintain healthy consistency and playability. And resodding is always necessary here. Tilling, aerating, overseeding. The lawn would require additional irrigation, and all playing and grass fields cannot be used for tournaments. And the play is very slow, and it's difficult to run on. So, this is a field we would not recommend at all. Other than that, these are our options and that we've looked at, and we have cost on them, and we are in a position where we really need to get this moving and to get this bidded out because the costs continue to rise. So anyway, I'm open for questions.
Madam Chair, can I just quickly add, just so the committee understands, so the cost for the Broad River project is not just the fields. It includes additional parking, it includes lights on one field, it includes an irrigation system for any of the turf areas, it includes press boxes, concession stand, bathrooms, bleachers. So it's an entire complex. I know there's a lot of talk about the cost of the complex, but there's a lot going into this in terms of just the field. So there will be 3 fields. One of them will be a tournament field with the lights. Each field will have the backstops, bleachers, dugouts. There's a playground, there's pickleball courts. So it's an entire Broad River complex.
Thanks, Ken.
Any questions from committee members? Mr. Lopez?
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Stiles, quick question. So with natural grass, well, a question on the natural grass. Although the natural grass may have higher, I think I jotted my question down here, upfront costs, for installation and maintenance, will the cost for water, soil care, and regular upkeep eventually become lower, especially as grass matures, it becomes more self-sustaining in the long run?
I think it's actually just the opposite. With
Yeah,
increased,
it's just the opposite. It continues. We're experiencing that right now with our field. As time goes on, it gets harder and harder to maintain. But Ken, would you speak to this? He's probably...
Yeah, so with additional use on these fields comes additional wear and tear on the grass surfaces. You have to deal with issues of compaction, constant wear and tear on the grass. You're constantly reseeding, you're constantly resodding, and you're constantly following a fertilization program. One of the challenges we have now in terms of budgetary constraints is, we switched to all organics, which is great, in theory, but it's very expensive. And just kind of a point of reference, the Anastasia field where we did a trial program, cost us about $8,000 in materials, and that's a very small field. So now you're talking bigger fields and 3 of them, you're probably looking anywhere from 25 to 30,000, per year just on materials for an organic program.
I see. Okay. Yeah, because my only concern too, thank you for that, Ken. My concern really is just the level of health and environmental risks associated with artificial turf, right? That's really my concern. And I understand that there might be some economic benefit when it comes to artificial turf, especially in the beginning. But it's I think that for a city that really wants to advance in the space of environmental sustainability, it would really be a huge contradiction to then on one end say these are the investments we're making when it comes to the environment, but then on the other end it's like, okay, well, we're still kind of working in opposite direction on the other. So that's generally my concern. And the second question I actually had was that, is there any way to commission a non-private sector study like a truly independent study, aside from the one that was conducted by Stantec, whether it's like a research company, or maybe somewhere a company from, not a company necessarily, but an institution from the world of academia that can kind of provide us like a truly independent assessment.
Well, I'm sure there is. We actually talked to a few, one of the fears that that came out of one conversation was someone actually provided consulting services and was on the other side of the argument in terms of if there was a balance in terms of how much PFAS and what level would it harm. They were more on the positive side that the balance of going with synthetic turf versus non-synthetic turf, they felt that the health risks weren't that great in terms of going. But that firm did not really want to get involved because they ended up being boycotted by everyone. So we can look around and try and find, but right now we want to make a decision one way or the other because the prices, the costs are increasing incredibly since we started this project, and so one way or another, whatever the council decides is what we're going to go with. We're just here to, give you the options that we've looked at. We think the council should decide it. We came here tonight just to discuss it, to get your guidance on what is needed to go forward. So that's what we're here tonight, just to get your guidance on how to carry this forward. But it's very important for us to get this project off the ground.
No, absolutely. Thank you, Robert. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Ms. Dunn.
I just have a comment. It is my neighborhood that is Broad River. And I personally am on a well, and I feel for the 450 kids that want to play baseball, but my primary concern is the health and well-being of every person that lives around there, that live on wells. A lot of us don't have city water. And even though a lot of that city water does come from the Kellogg Deering well field, which abuts the Broad River complex, it's very concerning. Even any bit of additional contamination, I think, is too much for us. If it's in the balance of baseball, if there's an alternative to making sure that people, you never know what you don't know. And being on a well myself, there's things I can't test for. I can't test for those things every year. And, there's hundreds of households that are on wells around that area. So that's just something to think about. Thank you.
We understand. We understood that from the beginning. That's why we, tried to balance it with coming up with a hybrid field and changing the material. So we understood and
But a hybrid field has some potential contamination. So anything at all is.
We're not proposing it.
Okay.
We had the same concerns. So that's why we looked at all the options, and it's up to the council to give us guidance. It's up to the council to make the decision. So, but we do want a decision made, and we want to build a field here, whether it's a clay field, infield, we want to build a field. And so whatever the council decides, that's what we're going to go with.
Ms. Edie?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mrs. Stowers. So, I heard you say you wouldn't recommend, this field wouldn't be recommended for, you said playing games or tournaments? Tournament?
I'd say I wouldn't recommend the grass. The grass only field, I wouldn't recommend. All grass.
But the clay is okay.
Yeah, I mean, the clay is one of our options that we're putting out there. The clay infill and the synthetic infill. Those are the options we're putting out there.
Okay. I would be in favor either of the grass or the clay. I would definitely not be in favor of the first option. So I just wanted to state that. But thank you. And if there's a fourth option, let us know. Let us know. But yeah, thank you.
Any other comments? Mr. Sutton?
Let me ask regarding the baseball leagues themselves. Babe Ruth, Cal Ripken, who was Hank Aaron. What do they have to say on issues like this? Any idea?
I really don't know what I know our leagues, Cal Ripken, you heard someone here, he was from Cal Ripken, I think his name was Chris. He, in the public testimony, of course, I think you guys heard his opinion. So I think, yeah, the leagues would have probably a much different, probably a mix or a much different way of looking at this. So I'm not sure.
I think a few sent in a couple emails to Delene that she's going to make part of the minutes.
Right.
Did you have another question, Mr. Sutton? Okay.
No,
Mr.
thank
Lopez?
you.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Sowers, in terms of timeline, what's the timeline for us to make a decision, or we're sort of like, what are the next steps when it comes to this project?
Well, we would like a decision date. And I don't know how to proceed. I don't know if we bring, this is what we're looking for you guys from guidance. Do we bring it straight to the council, the common council? Do we bring it back to you for approval or disapproval? Or we're looking for guidance.
Understood. Thank you.
Normally, when we have a project, we bring it to Rec and Parks committee, and then it's voted on and we move it on to common council. So this is a very controversial. We'd like to have a selection made and bring one. We'd like to bring one design and one project to this committee. So how do we get there?
To Mr. Sutton's question, and this is a hard thing. I mean, I can't tell you I play basketball. I didn't play sports outside, so I'm not, I don't have any experience in that. But I think we have to at least provide an opportunity for those leagues that use fields to weigh in as well. And to me, that's a balanced decision. I'm sure we all, the health aspect is very key to all of this, and particularly where this is located near the watershed. And so that's a major concern. But I think I think we should possibly talk about probably having a public hearing, or as someone mentioned in the comments, bringing some folks in to have a discussion about this, because as we continue to renovate fields, I think we just need to have some clarity around this. I mean, we can say one thing, and then what happens is your department gets inundated with folks who are not happy because they can't utilize whatever it is, right, in a timely manner. And I think this field, as you all say, it's very big, and it's the kind of field that folks use for tournaments. And how many of those do we have? Like what's the usage right now? And so I would suggest that we do that, something to that effect, because I think the public needs to be educated, and maybe, who knows, maybe some of those coaches and families might be okay with it as well, being all grass. But I think that I think we should consider that. And I don't know how anyone else feels about that, but I think we should consider that. And I think for our own edification about what this looks like, feels like in a community that, that is sports centered, because we've got a lot of fields. Mr. Lopez?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, so do you mean sort of like have a public hearing to kind of facilitate dialogue, invite maybe speakers to on both ends, talk about, really just the issue now?
However we do it, I think it warrants a little more, education, information, something, as opposed to us just saying yes or no, yay or nay, and, because the technology changes, it's constantly changing. And so what does that look like for us? And really talk about what it really will cost. You can kind of ferret that out over a 3-year, 4-year plan. What does that look like? Because if we've got to hire more people, if we've got to do more of that, whatever that is, so that we have all the information in front of us. And so that 2 years from now, we're not going, oh my God, we should not have done that, or we should have done something different. That's a suggestion. And Miss Edie?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just wanted to add, I did call, I want to say phone a friend. I have a cousin who's an ex-baseball player. So I called to see what the difference is really, but just to note, he did recommend grass because of the injuries. Like with the turf, you're more prone to injuries and it's not, natural. So I thought that was a good point, and I've always wondered that. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you. Mr. Sutton?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is there some way that the rest of the project might proceed and the infield, because they're simply asking for infield, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the project goes on
Infield.
and the infield awaits further study?
I think the issue with that would be that the mode of preparation for a clay infield versus a turf infield is completely different. So when they're grading the site and putting down their base materials, they would need to know what they're grading and installing the base materials for. So I think that would be quite difficult.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And one of the things I want to add too is when comparisons are made between a clay baseball field and a turf infield, we have to kind of understand that it has to be a properly maintained clay infield. And as you guys are aware, we're not fully staffed to where we should be, as was shown in our master plan. So that's always been a challenge for us in terms of maintenance. So while we might have all intent to keep a highly maintained field, right now we just don't have the resources and manpower to do so. So I understand the comparisons between clay and turf, but you have to make the distinction that it's well-maintained clay versus turf.
Yes, Mr. Sutton, please.
Madam Chair, let me follow up a minute. Is there any kind of, I would think that having discovered all these toxins, if you will, over the years of usage, that there might have been some litigation history regarding it, probably at all levels. I'm not sure. Are you aware of any that we should be made aware of?
I'm not aware of any. I think Ms. Washer pointed out a few. I don't know how deep the litigation was or was about, but I haven't heard of any test cases. But I don't think that's what we're doing now. What we're up against, I think, is that the costs are increasing so quickly that we need to make a decision. And if we're going with clay infield, then we're going to need more maintenance. We're going to need more money for maintenance. We just are, or else we're building a $7 million, a $9 million, however you want, a $4 million. We're building a complex that it's going to be hard to maintain if we don't get more staff, more funds for maintenance. Because there's a difference between ongoing maintenance for synthetics and ongoing maintenance for clay. So if we're going with clay, we'll need some more money for maintenance. So that's, I don't think we have time to go back and forth and get experts here and there. We don't have that time. I mean, the costs are moving so fast that we won't be able to do it. So we need a decision. So whatever process we use, we need to define that process. We want the public hearing, and then from there, make a decision, and then go on to common council and have the council make the decision. I think we need to move that way.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, suggestions? Okay. Is that it? That was our discussion.
Awesome.
Not sure where we ended, but we know we gotta get this done. Mr. Lopez.
We just need some guidance from you. That's all.
Yeah, no, yeah, Chair. So I think, what do you think about finding a way to kind of be able to facilitate dialogue as quickly as possible to come up with a
yes.
definitive answer? Because it's like,
Absolutely.
because I totally understand the dollar cost, right? But my responsibility is to help ensure the safety, well-being of the residents, and science is constantly changing, it's constantly evolving, and these are things that we have to take very serious. So if we could find a way to really come up with a way to put something together, we can talk with the rest of the council members, hear from the rest of the residents, to really be able to help their department to make a decision as quickly as possible.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Ms. Dunn?
I know that Louise Washer did, if you follow the Norwalk River Watershed Association, they have done lectures and things about PFAS in the river and stuff like that. So they would be a good resource for providing more information about it, and how the water goes underground and how it moves around underground stuff. So don't want to put that on her, but I think reaching out to her, she might be able to do a really quick synopsis of what kind of information we're looking for.
I think we have some time. I don't want to rush it, because I think we definitely need to give residents an opportunity to weigh in on this. And so, we need to do it in an expedient way. Ken?
Madam Chair, does it make sense to have a committee, if that's the will, vote for a public hearing at the beginning of the next Rec and Parks Committee?
I think so. How do we feel about that? I think that's a good idea. Yes?
Yes, I think that's a good idea. Yeah, for sure.
Ms. Edie? Thoughts on that? Yeah?
Yeah.
Heather?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we should have more council members there as much as possible, so that everybody on the council is ready to go. So it doesn't hold Mr. Stowers and Parks and Rec up.
Absolutely. Mr. Sutton?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I think that that's the way we should go, Robert.
Yeah, I think that's the way to get there. I think that's the more balanced way to get there. That way you have everybody's view, and then
All right.
Make the decision, and then we go forward. At least we'll have a new field. Whatever field we get, it'll be good.
Right, it'll be a great field. Okay, right.
We need as many fields as we can get, so.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah,
All right, so thank you
for listening. Thank you for approving the tree master plan tonight, moving it on, and thank you for even voting on 2 new events. So we'll see how it goes.
Okay. All right.
So Madam Chair, I think you would need to vote if you want to have the public hearing.
Oh, yeah.
I think you would have to vote to move the public hearing forward.
Okay. So I make a motion to move a public hearing forward to address the baseball field at, where's this place again?
Broad River Park.
Broad River Park. And we do that as soon as possible through our Recreation and Parks Committee. We
I
all
mean,
in favor?
did you want to make it for May 14th, which would be our next regular meeting?
If you think that's enough time, right?
But we have a sustainability meeting before,
Before, on the same day?
Before that,
which I know Johan and.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so
not.
I mean, our meeting's at 6 o'clock. It's usually brief, maybe no more than 45 minutes. What time were we thinking?
I mean, Robert, if you want to make it for 7 and we'll just try to keep the agenda light for the regular meeting, we could have the public hearing at 7 with the regular meeting to follow.
Let's do that.
We'll try to keep the agenda light because it's probably gonna be a lengthy public hearing.
I think we can keep it.
And you think you can work with that, Mr. Lopez?
Yeah, in fact, you know what, since this is such an important topic and we have to really move this along, we can hold off on having a sustainability meeting that day and maybe focus on this, and we can move this meeting a little bit earlier.
Maybe like
If that's-
6
to
o'clock
help.
possibly.
6
Yeah, for
o'clock.
sure.
Yeah,
To
that
help
makes sense,
Ken,
yeah.
to help Ken and
It's gonna
Mr.
be a
Sowers.
long, I think it'll be a long public hearing, so 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Yeah, perfect. So let's do that. Let's do that.
So 6 PM on Wednesday, May 14th.
Okay, so all in favor for that? All right,
And
Thank
we'll post it in the paper.
perfect.
Great, thanks, guys. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for the
Great
leadership.
meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Have a good night. Oh, wait a minute. Is that not
Motion
how
to
we're?
adjourn?
Motion to
Motion to
adjourn. There you go.
adjourn, right.
Heather is ready. Heather's ready to go.
Thank you. Ms. Kat.
Have a good night.
Good night,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye-bye.